Richard Nixon used it. Some Democrats used it. Republicans used it. Reagan used it. People have used it. It's recorded. This is not me just going out. It's footnoted. There's a book about it written by Kevin Phillips. Lee Atwater said in the 1970s and 80s that it was his major way of playing politics. And it's been the way of the South, because if you change the South, you change the nation. And every time black and white people have come together in the South, like they did right after slavery for about 10 or 15 years, the South fundamentally changed. And it took the nation forward. When black and white people came together in the civil rights movement, it changed. So Trump is not the problem, it's this strategy that he's taken to the nth degree. It was designed in 1968, and the goal of it was to live for 50 years, and this is the 50th year. But then there's a second problem, and that is many progressives have now become scared to call themselves liberal, even though it's in the word liberty. And too many so-called progressives choose compromise rather than confrontation. They compromise, and every compromise in this country, the 3/5 compromise, were bad for poor folk and black folk. And also progressives now tend to look for messiah candidates rather than building a movement. And then there's one more problem, and that's this puny language we use, like who's on the left and who's on the right. Some things are not about left versus right or liberal versus conservative, it's about right versus wrong. We need to change the language. Like Coretta Scott King, when they asked her about her husband being shot, they said, Miss King, what do you think about violence? She said, well, that's a form of violence. But she said, let me tell you what also is violent. Wasn't she your sorrow? Coretta said, look, she said, not giving people a public education is violence. Denying health care is violence. Denying living wages is violence. Denying labor rights is violence. Denying people's culture is violence. And then she said an apathetic attitude that refuses to address the other forms of violence is also violence. We need to stop talking about left versus right and talk about public policy violence versus non-violence. Policies are destroying. That's why racism is not merely rudeness. You know, everybody wanted to censure Representative King for what he said. But people do stuff on the floor of Congress every day worse than anything he said. When you refuse to restore the Voting Rights Act, that's racism. When you pass policies like denying health care and resegregating public schools and refusing to assist Native Americans on their reservations and help them protect their water, that's racism. Racism is policy. Racism is not about, Dr. King didn't fight for how we talk. He fought for how we live. He didn't just fight against the language, he fought to change laws. And there comes a time you gotta tell the truth and you gotta change the public conversation. And so my brothers and sisters, if you're gonna honor Dr. King, then we need to push a moral agenda. And I wanna ask, I'm asking every place next year, whoever you invite on the stage, have them do a checklist first. They can come to the program, but they ought not get to be on the stage if they're not gonna honor Dr. King. I bet you aren't invited to their stage. And I don't mean theirs in terms of black folk. I'm talking about, ask them, just say, are you for restoring the Voting Rights Act and fully opening up voting? Are you for automatic voter registration at 18 since you send people to war at 18? Are you for early voting in every state? Are you for just immigration? Are you for tribal recognition for a First Nation, Native American? Are you for ending this crazy mass incarceration, especially now that you got people in jail for the very thing that people in California now sell and make money off of? Are you for a federal and state living wage? Are you for union rights in this state? Are you for equal pay and equal work? Are you for social safety net programs for the poor? Are you for diversity in education and guaranteeing that every child has access to a high quality, free, diverse public education? Are you for equitable funding for HBCUs? Are you for single-payer health care? Are you for fair and decent housing for all? Are you for repealing the 2017 federal tax law that took $2 trillion from the backs of the poor and working poor and threatens the very health of social programs in this country? Are you for clean and renewable energy? Are you for fully funded public water and sanitation infrastructure? Are you for a ban on fracking and mountaintop removal and coal ash ponds? Are you for a ban on new pipelines and refineries and coal and oil? And are you for bringing clean energy to the fore? Are you for the protection of public land? Are you for ending military aggression and warmongering? Are you for stopping the privatization of the military budget? We now put 53 cents of every discretionary dollar into war, the war economy. The average combat soldier makes less than $30,000 a year, while the average CEO of a defense company makes $19 million a year. Are you for a ban on assault weapons? Ask them the question, not